To the bat poles.
Forgive me if I keep this one super short. Use your own judgment and analysis to come to a conclusion on this fight. I'm just going to highlight a couple things I noticed. I have a few more breakdowns I want to get to for UFC 205. This fight is super interesting. Cerrone has looked very dominant, especially at welterweight, but this fight against Gastelum is going to be a real test, I think. Not so much because of size, but just the style that Kelvin Gastelum implements. He's a pressure southpaw, he fights at a fast pace. I watched Firas Zahabi's most recent UFC 205 Q&A, and he talked about this fight briefly. He said,
I can't tell you that Gastelum is a body kicker. I don't think he is. I wouldn't surprise me if he threw a body kick, but he's more about his hands.
And we also know the story of Cerrone against RDA. Firas doesn't think it was so much of Cerrone having an issue with southpaws, but just body kicks in general. That's a fair assessment, especially based on what we've seen as of late from Gastelum. However, a couple of key points. That open guard stance in the southpaw versus orthodox, it does open up that inside body kick and the inside leg kick. Also, the last time we saw Kelvin Gastelum fight someone like Cerrone was back in 2014 when he fought Nico Musuke. And guess what worked for him in that fight? Body kicks. I do think we're going to see plenty of kicks to the body from Kelvin. I think this fight will be unique in the sense that although Gastelum will be shorter and at a reach disadvantage, I see him pressuring Cerrone and hitting him on the feet, whereas Cerrone will likely take Gastelum down. Firas couldn't have chose a better word to describe Kelvin, and that's ferocious. Let's look at Gastelum's last fight against Nico, a tall Muay Thai fighter with a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu. There are a few interesting points in this fight. First, Gastelum's most successful attack were his body kicks, which in turn helped him pressure, helped him set everything else up. He wasn't just kicking a few times, he was ripping body shots over and over very accurately. Nico may have only avoided a couple of kicks. Kelvin was controlled in the first round and wasn't able to get much offense off, but in the second round, as soon as he landed that first body kick, everything began to change. Gastelum set a ferocious pace and was constantly walking Nico down, not allowing him to go anywhere. And this is what I think he'll need to do against Cerrone. Nico may have been able to take those body kicks, but I don't know if Cerrone can. Sure, RDA and Pettis may smash the body harder than Kelvin, but with the accuracy he showed in this fight, that is going to hurt most fighters. I'm definitely banking on Kelvin to implement a very similar style to what he did against Nico Musuke. The other interesting aspect of that fight was Nico's game plan, which I think will reflect Cerrone's game plan. Make Kelvin think you're striking, then hit the takedown. Musuke is a taller Muay Thai fighter, and in the first round, he took Gastelum down right away. Cerrone has been doing this lately too. Gastelum was taken down by two long, lean fighters in Musuke and Neil Magny. I do think there are aspects of Cerrone's grappling that are better than both those guys, but Kelvin is no slouch on the mat either. He's a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu at 10th Planet, plus we haven't seen Gastelum grapple since November of 2015. Either way, Cerrone may likely be able to control him on the ground and win rounds like Magny was able to and like Musuke did. Maybe even tap him out, who knows. The other point I noticed was the check knees. We know Cerrone loves those check knees as a fighter comes in, and Musuke, Magny, and Tyron Woodley all had success with these against Kelvin Gastelum. There is the counter Cerrone has to be aware of, and that's Gastelum's right hook when Cerrone throws the knee. You would think that Kelvin Gastelum wouldn't want to go in the clinch, but he's been successful against taller fighters in the clinch, so against Cerrone that might be a different story. But it seems like since Eddie Alvarez had success inside that clinch throwing uppercuts and right hooks, why wouldn't Kelvin Gastelum? There are plenty of other aspects to look at, but these are the ones I wanted to highlight. I think Gastelum stands an excellent chance against Cerrone. I think it'll be a very close fight. I wish this one was 5 rounds, just in case they need to go those extra 2. They both have great cardio. Cerrone hasn't fought anyone 8 years younger than him in a long time, if ever, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I heard Michael Bisping say that Gastelum is in his prime. I do not agree with that. I think he's in the developing stages and still growing. We saw against Hendricks that Gastelum now has a pretty good jab. He uses it both to the body and the head to set up his strikes. Cerrone has so much more experience, and it could be argued that he's in his prime right now. His performance against Rick Story was insane, but I don't see a lot of similarities between Gastelum and Story other than them both being kind of stout in their southpaws. Kelvin has not been finished in the octagon, and he was a little stunned by Tyron Woodley, but other than that, he is tough as nails. It's going to be an awesome fight. Discuss it down below. Thanks for watching.